So with the release of the Independence Day event for the American 4th of July holidays, we're getting the Halford, a new ship. This ship is a hybrid DD. Yes, this ship can launch planes and actually go hunt things down with them. They are rocket planes, specifically Tiny Tims here. Halford being a tier 9 American DD means it's basically a Fletcher with those planes. However, to gain those planes, you're missing out on torpedo tubes and a whole gun turret. Also, this ship has worse concealment. This is a pretty massive downside. Although here we're going to get into a fight with an Akatsuki, probably something we are expected to win. However, the game has other ideas where we're just going to get the kill for free. Yeah, that's going to skew things a bit, but it certainly does help our early game. Now that we've dealt with the destroyer, let's get in the cap, hang out, and then launch some planes. Why don't we go hunting for another DD, go spotting something, or get some damage in on a battleship or a cruiser. One of the problems with these planes, though, is the Tiny Tims have a pretty long aiming animation where it makes it very difficult to actually hit destroyers. It's a change they made a while ago to CVs, where they actually made rocket planes have quite a long machine gun phase, which is basically telegraphing exactly where the rockets are going to land. As you can see here, it lasts quite a long time. That makes it a little difficult to hit some destroyers. Damage though, 6,000 damage in a fire. It's not bad, especially considering it's free damage in on that cruiser. After we get the cap here, let's go after the destroyer next. That's going to be the main issue with Halford, I think, where we give up DPM on the main guns, we give up concealment, but we're getting these planes in return. That's going to have to help us deal with enemy destroyers. If we're just worse at dealing with enemy DDs than a Fletcher, a very vanilla DD in this game, it's not going to be all that interesting to play, I don't think. Fletcher here is spotted by my teammates. Well, that spotting goes away. And notice we actually don't get spotting in time to actually land those rocket planes very reliably. So I think that's going to be a bit of an issue. A good thing, honestly, from a surface ship player perspective, that these rocket planes can't just be launched and then go nuke enemy destroyers for free. But let's be honest, that spotting is extremely valuable and not something that any other DD really has the opportunity to do. If I wanted to kill that enemy Fletcher, I shouldn't have actually gone for the rocket planes. Again, I was still testing things out here. Now that I know better, I should have just hovered over him. That's really the power here in these Halford planes. The spotting is just OP. It's honestly the biggest deal with carriers these days. I find that that extra spotting results in so many more passive games. And even though the damage here isn't amazing out of the planes for these Tiny Tims, you're going to do pretty good damage to battleships and bigger targets, of course, since it does pen over 32 millimeters of armor. So going after bigger targets is pretty good. It's the spotting that's really going to be valuable here on the Halford. Of course, we still have American smokes. You're going to see me use that a little later. So I can see this being a very strong DD when it comes to a support role, where you're spotting and a bit of a smoke bot for teammates. In competitive, that might be pretty valuable. Certainly deals with the worst concealment, having that option to launch planes and go out spot things for your team. Not having control over your DD when you're in the planes is a little awkward, where in a battleship or a carrier, using the mini-map to aim or control your ship, I should say, is a little bit easier to do. With a DD, you're pretty vulnerable, so you have to be very confident you're not going to get spotted or get into a gunfight, or take RPF torps, for example. Those could come out. In this case, we do get hydroed here, so if there had been enemy ships any closer, we could have been taking some serious damage. The Riga getting us in hydro. We could definitely go after the Fletcher here, but I wanted to try these rocket planes out on an Izumo. Lot of 32 millimeters of armor there, although the deck armor is a little bit stronger, so we'll see how the damage actually looks like. But getting back to our ship here, I will say I'm missing out on the extra turret that the Fletcher normally has. The DPM feels a lot worse. Into that Izumo there, I think we got around 5,000 to 7,000 damage. Nothing too spectacular. Certainly, I don't think that's worth giving up an extra gun turret. as well as that extra torpedo launcher, right? We're missing out on 5 torps that the Fletcher would normally have. As a bonus though, these torps do quite good damage, over 19,000 damage, which is pretty nice. They actually go 13.5 kilometers, so they're fairly unique torps, I would say. Only 5 of them though does mean they're a little bit less powerful than a Fletcher, I would say. Launching the planes again. That's trying to get the value out of these planes here. But honestly, after playing this ship a little bit, I do feel like I would just rather be in a Fletcher than this ship, for me personally. The spotting is quite valuable though here. Instead of going after the Izumo right away, let's go take a look at where the Fletcher's at. Oh, there he is. Maybe that's going to force him to smoke, or maybe my team will get some good damage in on him there. Go back and maybe grab some damage in on this Izumo. But if I had teammates a little bit closer, it would have been a good idea to permanently spot that Fletcher. Although it did force a smoke out of that Fletcher anyway. A little bit of damage, 3,000, not the best angle there into the Izumo. But the torpedoes do pretty good damage, as we can see. So I'm a little conflicted here. As far as the ship is concerned, I think it's pretty weak. I think this ship is not all that fun to play, and yet the spotting that planes provide is just so oppressive that I can't help but feel that it's a little OP and bad for the game at the same time. Even though playing the ship, it feels pretty weak. Damage-wise, getting any sort of value out of the torps and guns. As a traditional DD, not having the best concealment, it feels kind of bad to me. So you guys are going to have to let me know what you think in the comments down below. This is a bit of a more expensive premium ship. It's definitely not the easiest thing to get out of the Independence Day event, either going for tokens or the big giant bundle that's like 46,000 doubloons. So you're not going to see very many of these, and I think that's probably a good thing. Hopefully in competitive modes like clan battles or Kings of the Sea type things, if that ever goes to tier 9, this ends up being a permaban. Otherwise, it's a little interesting to give one team that decided to pay up for this ship, at least for now. We'll see what it comes out later. Maybe it comes out later for a more reasonable coal price or normal doubloon price, but having one team that has a DD that can just spot like this really quickly is pretty powerful in a competitive setting. But in random battles, I think that comes as a weakness. And in this match here, I wanted to try playing it as mostly a pseudo-aircraft carrier, mostly going for planes. And I think you're going to see people playing this way a lot. They maybe overvalue the planes and undervalue what the rest of the ship is going to do. So we actually ran it down into the B cap here very aggressively and just are going to sit behind this island launching planes at people, spotting enemy destroyers if they get close, trying to do damage over these islands into the cruisers hiding back there. Seattle will be a really nice target for us. The radar there is a little tricky to deal with, but sitting behind this island, feeling pretty safe. Although we do have to be a little careful. We don't want to be using these planes when the enemy carrier is around. Not having any sort of maneuverability there means we could get nuked very, very quickly. So something to be aware of if you do manage to pick this ship up. I don't really recommend relying too heavily on these planes. Just still try and play it like a normal DD. But I do think we're going to see a lot of people playing it as just planes. Maybe you're going to see it close to the back of the map, behind cruisers, just spamming planes out. The longer the attack runs are, or the longer you're flying around in the planes, the faster or more often you're going to actually be able to use the planes. The reload time is the same, but if you're spending more time in the planes, that means when you come back to your ship, the reload on those planes is actually going to be much closer to being available again. So if you're not playing too aggressive, it's possible you're actually going to launch planes, fly across the map, hit a target, and then come back to your ship and the planes are available again. Just kind of the nature of these hybrid ships. The reload on the planes starts the instant you launch those planes. But we're not having a lot of battle impact here, I would say. And, well, in this case, we're going to actually see one of the massive strengths here where we're able to support our friendly ships with spotting. This friendly destroyer's in a bit of trouble, honestly. There's an enemy sub charging for him. There's enemy DD, enemy battleship charging in for him. And we're going to be able to give him some heads up, spotting the sub for him as well as the battleship. We're going to turn around to try and permanently spot that sub, although unfortunately we do leave spotting distance, so it looks like our DD is probably going to go down. But this is the support you can provide without doing any damage at all. That's kind of why I say the spotting is a little bit strong. I think it's too strong, in fact, the ability to spot things like this. Assuming you're playing in a div or in competitive, or you have teammates around that are just willing to shoot at these DDs or submarines, cruisers, anything you're spotting like that. It's really, really powerful to have that extra spotting, and I think it does make games a little bit more passive. So again, you can tell probably that I'm quite conflicted on what this ship even is. I think it's bad for the game. My opinion here would be it's very bad for the game to have hybrid ships, more hybrids, more planes in the game. Just means more ships being spotted that otherwise wouldn't be. They don't have the freedom to maneuver around in concealment, which is honestly quite a lot of the ships in this game's playstyle. A lot of cruisers, most destroyers, even some battleships. It's really limiting on the gameplay options that you actually have. And then the ship not doing much damage is trying to balance out that extreme advantage you're getting from the planes and the spawning they have. But then it means the ship isn't all that enjoyable to play as a traditional destroyer player. You're going to lose a lot of gunfights, you're getting outspotted by a lot of enemy DDs. And here we can see this spotting and smoke bot role, right? The Des Moines is in a lot of trouble here. We can smoke them up with one of those extremely powerful American smokes. They last an incredibly long time. And then, potentially, we can do the spotting for him. He manages to take out the Carnot here, which is very, very nice. And our planes are up. We don't know where the enemy sub is. We don't know where the enemy DD is. Well, why don't we launch our planes and go find them? It's not like our damage is really going to make a difference in the end of this match anyway. So maybe we can go spot these guys. Give our Des Moines a little bit of a heads up. Maybe find the sub so he's not going to shotgun someone, for example. The Preussen maybe is the sub's next target. And we find the Jutland on 800 HP. So hopefully we will have our Des Moines help us take him out. I start an attack run here. I'm not really sure why, but it does let us go a little bit slower here to hopefully get the Des Moines some shots in. And we're just not really going to do much damage to this Jutland, but it is going to result in him killed. That's the power, in my opinion, of this ship. That ability to smoke your teammates up and the ability to spot enemy ships whenever you want to. All they can do is smoke up, and that doesn't last permanently. So there you go. That's going to be most of the Halford for you. It's a pretty mediocre ship, but I do think overall it's going to be bad for the game. Let's see if we can get ourselves a little bit of damage here on this submarine, who's going for the shotgun again on the Preussen. Seems like that's what a lot of subs are doing these days. Shotgun, 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 shotgun. It's pretty rough out here, I think, these days with all the hybrids, carriers, and submarines. Playing a surface ship is going to be quite difficult, and this only adds to that problem, in my opinion. Notice the lack of damage and the lack of battle impact in this one, only 13,000 damage, and yet we made it very difficult for the enemy destroyers to really play in this match. So that's the problem. That's the problem right there in a nutshell. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.